Vernomatic Productions.
Are you ready?
Live from the Metal Mayhem Studios in Rochester, New York.
We are gold. We are gold.
And heard around the world by metalheads just like you. This is Metal Mayhem ROC.
Heavy metal music.
Your weekly dose of metal music, interviews, album reviews, news, and more. Want to be part of the show? Send us a message through our website, metalmayhemroc.com, or hit us up on Facebook and Twitter. Search Metal Mayhem ROC.
It's getting nice and heavy.
Now, welcome our hosts, John the Vernomatic Verno, and direct from New Jersey, Metal Walt.
Good evening, everybody. Hope everyone's doing well as we navigate our way through the spring of 2023. As always, Thursday nights, new content drops. Tonight, we have a fun one. We welcome Gil Moore of the Canadian band Triumph. Next week will be 40 years since that famous US Festival show happened in California. It was Memorial Day weekend, 1983. It was a 3-day festival, with day 2 being Heavy Metal Day. You had young bands like Quiet Riot and Mötley Crüe on there. Veterans Ozzy Osbourne and Judas Priest. But you also had Triumph, Scorpions, and of course Van Halen headlined that show. Well, Gil's here to talk about that concert. The band's releasing a special live album on vinyl to commemorate that event. They have a YouTube show that's going on next Thursday night, so tons of cool stuff. So he's going to be joining Metal Walt and I in just a minute to talk about that. Again, want to remind you to get up to the Metal Mayhem ROC website, sign up for our newsletter. There you'll receive updates on new podcast shows. Reminders for our radio show. There's CD reviews from Mark Zagatti. Metal Walt's going to shows every other day, so he's putting concert reviews up there. You can also download some recent episodes, podcast episodes. Last week, we had the Rock and Roll Detention series, spotlighting the band Badlands. Ian O'Rourke and I did a Van Halen Fair Warning episode a few weeks ago. We had the History of Metal, 1993. And about 3 weeks ago, we had Tony Zimmerman from Knucklebones. You know, those cool rock and roll and metal collectible figurine company. So get up to the website, download some of these past shows, rate, review, subscribe, and join our community. So that being said, let's get into this. Gil Moore, Triumph, US Festival birthday celebration. For Metal Walt, I'm the Vernomatic. This is Metal Mayhem ROC. So today it's an honor and a privilege from the band Triumph in the Great White North, Gil Moore. Hey, Gil, welcome to Metal Mayhem ROC.
Hey, guys. Great to be here.
Like to introduce you to my co-host, Metal Walt. He comes from New Jersey.
Hey, Gil. Nice to meet you. I have a question for you. I know you're up in the Ontario area, and I see on your website that you sell Triumph hockey pucks. I'm a big hockey fan. I'm an Islander fan. How you feeling about the Leafs exit? Is it progress or no progress?
That's a good question. Like, kind of the scene here locally is felt like we went down in flames in a bad way, not a good way. Let's put a lid on it at that point. You know, I don't think anyone was too pleased up here, but it's a sport. You know, I think everybody's got to remember that, and it's good to be enthusiastic, but it's not too good to be overly wound up about it.
Exactly. Well, Gil, before I hand it back over to John to talk about the 40th anniversary of the US Festival, I have to tell you that I have a little piece of history with Triumph, and I have to share this with you, that I was in attendance at the 2007 Rocklahoma show. Flew all the way down there from Jersey, mainly for the reason to see you guys on the Friday night. And I have to tell you, that was the one and only time, based on my age, that I was able to see you guys. So just wanted to share that with you and tell you it was a long time ago, but it was a killer memory and a killer weekend. And thank God you played on the Friday and not on the Saturday when the tornado hit.
Yeah, we kind of dodged a bullet there, and luckily, and that was a bad scene. But that weekend and the 2 weekends before were great because it was a decision that we made to go and play a couple festivals so that our kids could see the band in action. And it had been 20 years. And, I contacted our agent, the late, great Troy Blakely, and said, Troy, can you pull some festivals for us? And he said, where do you want to go? And I said, a long ways away from here. They said, any place particular? They said, no. Comes back with Sweden. I said, perfect. My wife is Swedish. Let's go there. So, my father-in-law, he liked it because he went and checked out a few cemeteries over there and some old memories of his. And, we were there for the first time. We didn't play Sweden before, so it was pretty cool. And then we went down, of course. Now, playing Rocklahoma is really kind of the Dallas market, sort of the Dallas, New Mexico, Arkansas, all Oklahoma, all those areas kind of combined around that show. It was actually in Pryor, Oklahoma, I believe.
Well, it was a good memory, so I was glad I was in attendance. So, John, take it back.
Gil, my God, I'm 55 years old. Been following the band since late 70s. I think the first time I saw Triumph was on the old Don Kirshner's rock concert. My pops wouldn't let me go to a show in 81 up here in Rochester, Allied Forces, but I started seeing Triumph on the Thunder 7 tour. Always a great time, great band. Congratulations on an excellent career. We're here today to discuss the US Festival. Can you believe it was 40 years ago next weekend? The 3-day festival in California. Again, Triumph was part of that heavy metal day. The band is, what are you releasing? A album, a package of that show? Tell us what it's all about.
It's a double vinyl gatefold. So it's got a whole bunch of, artwork there that's, first time, I guess, for a lot of the artwork. And it's just a fan package. It's on, the fancy dense vinyl that they're able to use now, 120 grams, so it holds all the low end and stuff. That's kind of cool. And it's our performance that day combined with some, as I said, some additional cool pictures that haven't been seen before and some liner notes. And it's just a really nice, I'll call it a souvenir. And they did it in different colors of vinyl, very limited edition. So once it's gone, it's gone. And it's in fact, it might already be gone. I'm not even sure if it's still available.
Yeah, we actually were looking yesterday. I was on the website, and it looks like the red and blue are sold out, and the 3 package, the trio, is gone. So all you can get is the black. So is it true you guys only pressed 750 copies?
That's not something that we control, so I don't know if that's kind of like the merchandiser's decision. When they do those limited editions, some of the times what they want to do is they press a small quantity, and then they move on to something else, as opposed to, if they had thousands of them and they'd be available for the next 5 years or something like that, they wouldn't put their time and effort into creating something else that's coming up. I know that coming up later this year, not our merchandiser, but Round Hill Music, our label in America, they're going to be releasing a Triumph tribute album. And I know that's been in the making for several years now, through the pandemic. It's produced by Mike Klink of Guns N' Roses fame. And we have some tremendous singers on there. Joey Belladonna from Anthrax is on there. Our buddy Sebastian Bach, of course. Phil X from Bon Jovi. Larry from Styx. Nancy Wilson from Heart. Mickey Thomas from Starship. There's tremendous musicians, especially drummers. We're crying out loud. We got Tommy Aldridge on there, one of my personal favorites. And then Kenny Aronoff, another fantastic drummer from John Milling.
Yeah,
I go on and on about Nita Strauss, beautiful female guitarist that just knocks it out of the park.
Hurricane.
There's so many great musicians on there. I can't even tell you how thrilled we are.
When can we expect to see that?
I think that's the end of this year, and like maybe third, fourth quarter this year. So I think that's the thing with some of these other releases, why they do limited editions is because, make room for the next item that's coming down the pike. Now, maybe they'll do more of these. I don't know if they sold out too quickly. Maybe they, underestimated how many people would want it, because I don't think they're trying to shortchange anybody. I think they just don't want to, inventory a lot of stuff and hold on to it for, keep it as a catalog item, let's say, like you would with a normal album.
Was the band involved with the arrangement or the guest musicians? No?
Mike Klink did the whole thing. Man, he's got to give him full credit. It's kind of like when people ask me about the documentary, how much did the band have to do with the documentary? I go, well, basically nothing. The Mark Riccardelli and Sam Dunn and Don Allen, those guys, curated the narrative. They decided on the physical locations of shoots, what group of people to interview and when and how. They did the whole thing. We kept seeing rushes of it as it was going along. But when I saw the rushes, I just thought, gee whiz, this doesn't look like a documentary to me. It just looks like a bunch of stuff. And, they had obviously the power of foresight in they'd scripted this or storyboarded it in such a way that they knew where all these puzzle pieces were going. But for me, it was like being a kid when I was, in grade 2, and on my birthday, my mom gave me a puzzle of a horse, and she dumped it on the kitchen table, and it's just a bunch of pieces. And it's, Mom, what is this? It's nothing. She says, well, assemble it, and it will be something. You have to be patient. And so you put it all together, and you see this beautiful horse. That was the way the Triumph documentary was. We were seeing puzzle pieces, but we couldn't see the horse. And when they finally put it all together, we thought, man, this is really great. They did ask us on the way in, is there anything in particular that you want to see in the movie? When they asked me, I said, yeah, humor. I said, I do not want to not have any jokes in this, because people laugh in this day and age. Too many people are serious. Too many people are grumpy. Let's have some laughs in there. Triumph was always about having fun. So I want that to come through. So fortunately, there are some humorous moments in there, leading off with the Trailer Park Boys. I love those guys. That's funny right off the bat. They're going to cop our merchandise. I mean, those guys, Bubbles and the boys, they knocked it out of the park, And then Sebastian, he's like a character on steroids, right? Yeah, I love Sebastian, man. He always cracks me up. So, there was some good moments there. The only thing that's too bad is we didn't get any of Rick Emmett's impersonations into the film. So if we do another one, I'm going to say, Rick, the first thing we're going to do is record a whole bunch of your dialects, which are so funny, and then we're going to pre-edit that, and we'll build a film around those funny bits that we used to do in the dressing room backstage.
Well, there you could do a teaser on April Fool's Day, Gil. You can go out and announce a special reunion performance, and don't play music. Just do spoken word and jokes, stand-up comedy.
Well, strangely enough, up here, so what I've been doing the last, decades is, you guys probably know about Metalwork Studios, but which is my kind of ranch here, which is where I am right today. But also, we're in different businesses. We have a school where we teach music and audio, and we have a sound company and a lighting company here as well. And so one of the things we're doing with that sound and lighting company is we're working on a mixed reality technology with our lighting director, Paul Dexter, in Los Angeles. And the premise is to take Triumph back on the road in mixed reality, which would be pretty amazing if we were able to do it. So it's in the formative stages, and it would be it wouldn't be Mike, Rick, and Gil there live. It would be a combination of actors and avatars and some really cool stuff. I got interested in holograms at one point because Paul was kind of the godfather of holograms with Ronnie Dio and so on. As quickly as I thought they were cool, I also thought they weren't cool by themselves. So Paul and I set about to try to create something that was way better and way more immersive and way more interesting holograms. But what we took from holograms was the three-dimensional, and also that the gag is a kind of a trick. And we said, how could we put this on steroids and make it triumphize it? So that's what we're doing and trying to do. We're being helped by the mixed reality team at Microsoft, who are partners of Metalworks, so they're a great help. And we're hoping to have that out 2024, 2025 for 50th anniversary of Triumph. That's the plan right now.
That's awesome. Hey, Gil, we wanted to go back to the new vinyl release, and we have a couple other questions before we go back to the day itself and revisit the actual your impressions of the day itself. But we have a listener question from Mike Tashenko of Greer, South Carolina, asks us to ask you, will the opening song, Too Much Thinking, which was not included on the DVD, be included in the vinyl edition?
I wish I knew the answer to that, because this is really funny. There was a debate on that. Like, did we play that song? And so when Mike and Rick and I get together, one of the things we do is we play memory test. And we go, and then there's generally an argument that ensues, no matter what it is. It could be over a French fry. It would be like, well, what restaurant was it? No, it was Wendy's. No, it was McDonald's. It was in Dallas. No, it was not. It was in Chicago. Like, it's like when you combine all the tours that we did and you combine all the shows that we played into this soup bowl, and you can imagine it gets very funny when you start talking your way through it with your buddies. And this is one of those questions, the missing song. So it doesn't make any sense because we were on a very, very high end Westwood One's truck at the time, and Norm Pattis had the best gear on the planet. So one would think we have the song. It's possible that it was left out intentionally on the DVD, but I can't remember that. And so where we left it, because we donated all our archives to the University of Toronto's music library, and we're going to seek out that song if it exists. But I'm inclined to believe that the fans, when we talked about it internally and with the record producer, and he was like, well, did you guys play the song or not? And we're like, we're not sure. All we can do is tell it to each other.
Awesome.
Not certain. And so he said, how are we going to prove this? And I said, yeah, we're going to have to ask Karnak. We're going to have to go to the U of T and see if the song exists or it doesn't exist. I'm inclined to think the fans are right and that we played it. It's there. Mike, Rick, and Gil just don't remember.
Let's talk about the show, the US Festival. You have a special presentation that's coinciding with this for people that buy the vinyl. Tell us about that.
There's, I think, on side 4 of the record, there's a bunch of spoken word where Mike and Rick and I talk about the event. I think that's what you're referring to. Yeah. And that's just added content. And I know they did something fancy artwork-wise on that 4th side of the vinyl too, which I haven't seen. So some kind of graphic.
Well, no, in the press release we got, they're saying on Thursday, May 25th, Triumph is hosting a special viewing of the concert on the official Triumph YouTube channel. Well,
then we are. See, you're way ahead of me. It shows what I know.
So I think you're both right. I mean, there's the side 4 has the pre-recorded podcast. Side 4, Gil, just for the record, it's the Never Surrender Thunderbird logo etched on side 4. And then there is the May 25th is the live viewing of the concert itself, which apparently you guys are popping into the chat box and you're going to be interacting with fans. So maybe we'll join on.
You know what? You're absolutely right. It's coming back to me now. And Wendy would have kept me on track just like she did today. So she got all this written down. And yes, it's a lot of this is flurries through the inbox, and you say yes, yes, yes to everything. And you hope it all makes it into the calendar. So you know what that's like.
Yep. So how are you going to field those uncomfortable questions like from guys that are going to be in the chat box saying, oh, when are you playing Maple Leaf Gardens or Air Toronto Center?
You know what? I don't find any questions uncomfortable. Like I'm never, as much as, people generally, for example, people that are in the public eye to some extent or generally get bombarded with hate of one sort or another, whether they get a little or they get a lot. And I got to tell you, Triumph doesn't get any hate. Like for whatever reason, it seems like the people that want to make a comment about us. They're all people that we, had obviously a good experience with one way or the other, whether it's, fans in community, fans in the, at the shows, or whether it's promoters we work with, or whether it's things that have taken place in the community that have been outside the venue, so to speak. So I feel really blessed. I'm not afraid of any questions. Like I haven't had anybody, and you got to figure everybody dislikes somebody. So I'm sure somebody out there hates my guts and hates Triumph, but they don't seem to come around. So I'm not worried about any questions on a show like that.
We got the kinship of Sebastian Bach, because he's both Canadian and he cut his teeth in Jersey, so we got it covered.
Yeah, I mean, America's been so good to Triumph. I can't even tell you. It's just been like when we came across the border, it was just like open arms right from day one, right till the last time of the last note of the last concert. Just a beautiful experience. It really was.
I'll tell you a beautiful experience. I graduated high school in 1986, and I went to school in Toronto for recording arts. Yeah, I lived right on Yonge Street. Now, Gil, at the time, it was September 1986. The US dollar had a lot of pull. There I am, a 19-year-old going to the brass rail for lunch 3 days a week.
Beautiful.
So I absorbed that Canadian culture. And, circling back to this, why would anyone have a problem with Triumph? Of course not. You're Canadian. I mean, the Canadians.
You just need to catch up with your brother's rush and get your own line of beer. That should be your next merchandise.
We were supposed to have a line of beer. I'm not sure what happened, but Sarah was working on a Triumph beer up here. I'll have to ask her after we hang up.
All right.
Left beer.
Sounds good. I look forward to that. So Gil, let's touch base back on the actual day itself. And I was able to put together a couple slides of a montage of great photos and memorabilia from the day. But 670,000 people attended that weekend, yet they say it lost $12 million. Like, take us through the day for you guys personally. What was it like? Helicopter in, helicopter out? Did you hang with the other bands, watch the whole day?
So we did helicopter in and helicopter out. I mean, that was really the only way to do it. And, it was a phenomenal view because we played some very big shows prior to this. I mean, we played Canada Jam, was over 100,000 people. We played World Series of Rock and American Rock Festival and, the Cotton Bowl, Texas World Music Festival. We're used to playing big shows. However, I think for us and for all the other bands, nothing like this. This was something altogether different. You look down and you realize it looked more like a city than a concert venue. And it took your breath away. It really, really did. And when we got backstage, I mean, the first thing you notice is how hot it was that day. It was just crazy hot. And Triumph was different than other bands. I mean, we weren't backstage partying and getting loaded. We were backstage like prepping to get ready for the show. So like we used to do a long warm up. I used to think I put a towel over my head with eucalyptus oil to try to, open up the airwaves for singing. At the same time, like loosening up with the drumsticks. Rick would do the same thing. He'd play guitar through a little wee amp, and Mike would be plugged into the same little wee amp, and he'd play bass. So we'd play songs just kind of quiet, but we'd sing them to, try to just lubricate the chops and get ready to go. And so we didn't really have time to do anything else other than concentrate on what we came there to do, which was to try to, do something for the audience that was going to be really good. And, I remember when I did stick my big nose out the door of our trailer once, and I'm thinking how hot it is. And we got a lot of, jokes because we were all dressed in white or some variation of white. And that was strategic. That was because we didn't want to, burn up like a potato chip. But as I stuck my nose out the door and I looked, who do I see? But I see Rob Halford and the guys in Judas Priest, and they're all dressed in leather. And I started laughing my head off. And I said, I don't want them to think I'm laughing at them. I went back inside and I said, what do you think? I said, I saw the Priest. These guys are going to melt. They look like licorice sticks going out there in the sudden they're just gonna melt. You know.
Hey, was there any chance to hang out with the other bands, like, and say to them, "Can you believe this? Look at this. This is crazy." You run into Klaus Meine and, talk with him, or it was separated because it was so huge?
Well, Mike hung around. Mike and Rosie hung around, but Rick and I, 2 seconds after we were off the stage, we were out of there. We were just gone, and then the next thing you know, we were back in a limo when we were going down the freeway to LAX and trying to catch a flight so that we didn't have to hang around for another day. But Mike stayed over, so when you talk to him, he'll have a whole lot of different stories. For Rick and I, we were just kind of like, we just wanted to get in and out of Dodge and do what we had to do, and make sure that at the end of the day, the people that walked out of the venue had a blast of Triumph that was full tilt, no hold back, no goofing around. That was the goal.
How'd the show do for you? You feel a push from it?
Well, I had brittle drums, so that was tough because the day before we were in Florida playing at the Tangerine Bowl, which was it was this big gig too. It was 55,000 there. It was full with ZZ Top. And so when we came over there, we were from the day before played like a large outdoor show. So that was kind of good leading into this, although 55,000 was nothing compared to this. Mm-hmm. The problem is the routing, because we were in Florida, I couldn't get my drum set over there. So we had to use a set of drums that, Tamo put together for me. I mean, it was a clone kind of a clone setup. But just the same, it's like wearing somebody else's shoes, it just doesn't feel the same. My main concern was just the kit, not just something being wrong with some nut or some bolt not being tight enough or something. And, but my drum tech was great, and he was on top of it, and the people from Tama were great. They were on top of it. And so it worked.
The question I was getting at, did you, as a brand, the Triumph, because you did the US Festival, did you feel was there a spike in sales? Were you was the public more aware of the band because you did that US Festival, or it was just another gig?
I think it certainly was not just another gig in terms of the, like if you think about just the state of California, I don't think there's ever been a show as big before or since. Mm-hmm. It could be proven wrong. I don't know, but that's what I'm told. This is about the size of Woodstock, the original Woodstock. So it's one of those shows. I don't think it ever pales in comparison to anything else. It's a one-off. It's a unicorn in its own way. Yeah. And I think it had a big impact on fans. It had a big impact on press. It had a big impact on radio, and so on. For us, the reason, at least mindset-wise, the way we would treat it as kind of any other gig, it's kind of like in sports. If the perfect way to choke is to make too much out of something. Like if I don't make this free throw, we're going to lose the game. If I don't score this goal, that's it. We're out of the playoffs. And the minute you start thinking that way, that's when you gag. So in our band, because we were three guys and there was no place to hide, and we weren't, we weren't a band that would go on stage like high and just goof around. We just, that was not us. We went on stage to win the game, so to speak, and for us, the game was to make sure the fans got exactly why they were there. They said, man, Triumph never lets us down. And that's what we tried to do. We tried to never play a bad gig, if you will. The mindset, it's not like, oh, look at all these people and look at all this stuff. It's like, okay, game phase, do it, right? It's great that all this stuff is going on. I mean, the only time I digressed from the whole thing was because I had met Woz, right? So speaking to him backstage, the only guy I really cared to speak to, he brought us on stage, which was really kind of neat. That was and we were trying to support him because Joe Strummer badmouthed him, which was really nasty of him to do so. So we were trying to support him.
Gil, it's an awesome piece of history, and you're so right. It's like if you were part of that there, either as a band member or crew, a fan, it is. It's got its own folklore. Like you talk like Woodstock or something like that. We had Bob Gruen on, the famed photographer, a few weeks ago, and he was talking about his personal experience driving up to Woodstock to as a fan to see The Who. But as like a hard rock metal fan, I think it's like in our world to relate to something like this. And I think, my God, I was 13 years old when this went down. It was probably on the wavy TV in between MTV news clips and Mark Goodman reporting on it. But it's so cool to go back and revisit it. And we're really, really happy that we got a chance to talk to you and somebody that was there that day. So it's really has been our pleasure. So before we let you go, I know you mentioned the tribute album coming out. Anything else on the horizon in the Triumph world? Merch, re-releasing, anything in the works in terms of events?
The merch, Greg Ross, who's our amazing merch dude, he never stops with coming up with ideas. He comes up with more ideas than Carter says pills. And so I'm sure there's going to be, everything from, Triumph this to Triumph that. He keeps thinking of things to put out there. And all these tchotchkes, to me, they're kind of cool because regardless of what they are, like I like the keychains just because I have a lot of keys. So, I have different Triumph keychains for different groups of keys. But, some people like ball hats and some people like T-shirts and standard stuff like that. But some of the stuff that they're coming up with now, it's just like, I never would have thought of this.
The hockey puck is a great idea. I got to go on the website and get a hockey puck myself. Like I need to have that.
I love the mugs. I got my family, like my all my kids, my wife, they've all got a set of Triumph mugs. We have Triumph beer pint glasses. Those things are great too.
I got an idea for you, Gil. It just occurred to me. A couple of years ago, I made one of those vintage battle patch jackets where you try to find all your bands.
Oh, yeah.
And I did one, and I have it behind me. I could show you a picture someday, but I couldn't find Triumph because your logo, when you go search on eBay, only Triumph the motorcycle comes up. So you have a market there where you guys can make your own patch and sell it on your website. I guarantee that'll be a hit.
That's funny because there are Triumph patches. Maybe they're sold out. Like there's about 3 or 4 different types of them.
On the website. Okay.
I don't know about on the website. I'm not up to speed on that. I'd have to ask Greg when we have a chat with him. But you're right. No, I would have expected that there would be Triumph patches there for sure. But I guess
I got a couple spots left on the code. I'm going to have to go revisit it now 10 years later and see if I can find one.
I'll have to see if I can get one over to you.
That would be awesome.
Metal.
That sounds good.
Metal Walt, that reminds me, Gil, a couple of weeks ago, we had Tony from Knucklebones, the figurine company.
Yes.
Have you ever done anything with Knucklebones? Have they ever?
I don't think so. That doesn't ring a bell.
Oh, okay. Well, they're the leader in those figurines, the limited edition. They don't press a lot of them, and their attention to detail. We'll send Tony emails. Hey, let's get on Triumph. And
so that tell Chip that and tell him to shoot it over to Wendy, and we'll turn Greg on to that. Man, he likes opportunities like that. I told him I wanted to get a pinball machine. I always wanted to have a Triumph pinball, so I know they were starting on that. I don't know where that went yet, but
you're gonna call Gene Simmons and get the school of marketing from him. But
he's all his time marketing.
Yeah. I'm going to invite you to stay on after we say goodbye. And we have a couple questions I want to ask you off air. But you mentioned a little while ago, Ronnie James Dio. Today happens to be the observance of his death day, May 16th, 2010. So when we get done with this, when you're driving around later, why don't you put on your favorite Dio or Rainbow or Sabbath and,
Well, on the next Dio tribute album comes out, I'm going to volunteer Gil to play drums on Holy Diver.
There you go. Yeah, I'd love to. Ronnie was an amazing guy. And I remember the last time we played LA Sports Arena, he was backstage. He was mixed in with the punters. We look around and all of a sudden, hey, there's Ronnie Dio. He's right. He's right there. So we had a nice chat, And our lighting director, Paul, that I mentioned earlier, like he worked with Ronnie and with Wendy as well. So I sort of hear this, whatever goes on in Wendy's world, I hear about it sort of from Paul. They were very close.
I was able to catch the Rods the other night at the Chance in Poughkeepsie, and Dave Feinstein, his cousin, full leather jacket, but right above his lapel, he has a little DO pin on there. I guess always carrying his memory, which I thought was very classy.
Indeed.
Where can people get information on your product? Triumph.com? Share your sites.
Yeah, or socials, which are on there as well. We have an Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. I think there's 3 or 4 Facebooks. There's one official one, and then there's 2 or 3 that are fan-started Facebook sites.
All right. Well, cool. Gil, thanks for talking with us today. Again, congratulations on a great career. And you don't need, I'm sure you're in the Canadian Hall of Fame, and we've enjoyed your music for the last 40 plus years.
Sure, appreciate it, guys. It's great speaking with you, and I hope you have a good day. And thanks for the support.
Of course.
Quite welcome. If I ever get back up in Toronto at some point, I'm going to come to the studio and knock on the door and say hi.
Yeah, come to Metalworks for sure. Coffee's always on here.
Awesome. Best of luck with the release and the live stream. Should be fun.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
All right,
guys.
Take care.
See ya.
Hey, have a good time, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Cheers.
Metal for Life.
Thank you for listening to Metal Mayhem ROC. Check out our website at metalmayhemroc.com for information on podcasts, archives, links to all our live radio shows, and all sorts of info. Please like, follow, and share with everyone, even your non-metal friends. And always remember to keep it heavy.